Costs and benefits are the two sides of a choice. The clearest example is a family compares the price of a car with reliability, fuel use, and safety. The explanation starts with the decision is not only about the sticker price. The consequences benefits must be weighed against every cost that comes with them. Costs can be visible or hidden. For example, a free app may collect attention and personal data. The reason is that the money price can be zero while another cost exists. That can mean people make better choices when they look beyond cash. Benefits can be immediate or delayed. In real life, education costs money now but may raise future income and options. The pressure comes from this. Timing changes how people feel about value. The result can be long-term benefits are often underestimated because they arrive slowly. Businesses use cost-benefit thinking constantly. Think of a CAFA copyright decides whether a new machine saves enough labor to justify its price. The process works because owners compare upfront spending with future efficiency. Over time, investment makes sense only when the expected gain is worth the risk. Governments also compare costs and benefits. A simple case is this. A bridge project may reduce travel time but require taxes and land use. The important driver is that public decisions spread costs and benefits across many groups. That is why a policy can be efficient and still unpopular if burdens feel unfair. Opportunity cost belongs in the cost side. You might see it when taking a second job may add income but remove family time and rest. What matters underneath is that the sacrificed alternative is part of the real price. If it is ignored, ignoring it makes decisions look easier than they are. Some benefits are hard to measure. One ordinary version is clean air, safety, peace of mind, and trust do not fit neatly into a receipt. The mechanism is that not everything valuable has an obvious market price. The practical effect is economic thinking still has to respect non-financial value. Some costs appear only after commitment. Consider a cheap printer may need expensive ink every month. The hidden part is that ownership reveals maintenance, time, and replacement costs. The outcome is often that a low entry price can hide a high lifetime cost. Marginal thinking asks about one more unit. The pattern shows up when one extra hour of work brings pay but may also bring exhaustion. The moving force is that the first unit and the next unit do not always have equal value. The risk is that good decisions focus on the next change, not only the total. Benefits shrink when needs are already met. In a daily situation, a second slice of cake may be nice, while the fifth feels unpleasant. The link is that satisfaction often declines with repetition. Once that link matters, more is not always better after a point. Risk changes the calculation. The clearest example is a project with high possible profit may still be unwise if failure would destroy savings. The explanation starts with expected benefit must be compared with downside. The consequence is people should not count only the best case outcome. Distribution matters. For example, a policy may create more total benefit but place costs on one small group. The reason is that fairness affects whether people accept the calculation. That can mean numbers alone do not settle every argument. Emotions influence perceived costs. In real life, fear can make risk look larger, while excitement can shrink it. The pressure comes from this. The same decision feels different under different moods. The result can be pausing can separate emotional weight from actual probability. Sunk costs should not control future choices. Think of staying in a bad course because tuition was already paid may waste even more time. The process works because past costs cannot be recovered. Over time, the real decision is what future benefit remains. Good cost-benefit analysis uses ranges. A simple case is this. A business estimates best case, normal case, and bad case before expanding. The important driver is that uncertainty deserves room in the calculation. That is why one exact number can create false confidence. Personal values change the answer. You might see it when one person may choose lower pay for more time at home. What matters underneath is that benefit depends on what the person values most. If it is ignored, economic clarity does not mean everyone should choose the same thing. External costs can be pushed onto others. One ordinary version is pollution may not appear in the company a €S price but affects nearby residents. The mechanism is that a private decision can create public harm. The practical effect is complete analysis includes who pays outside the transaction. Cost-benefit thinking prevents impulsive choices. Consider a sale feels attractive until storage, maintenance, and debt are included. The hidden part is that slowing down reveals the full exchange. The outcome is often that the best bargain is not always the lowest price. The method is simple, but the judgment is not. The pattern shows up when list the real costs, real benefits, timing, risk, and who is affected. The moving force is that the clearer the list, the harder it is for wishful thinking to hide. The risk is that the topic is understood through the method is simple, but the judgment is not in practical terms. Costs and benefits becomes clearer when it is tested in ordinary life. Take CAFA copyright buying a machine. The point is visible in a CAFA copyright buying a machine. The choice changes because costs and benefits changes the pressure around the decision. What matters is the real consequence for the people involved, not just the clean definition of costs and benefits. When the example is concrete, costs and benefits stops sounding abstract and starts looking like something people deal with in real conversations, bills, deadlines, and relationships. Another useful angle is student staying in a bad course. A student staying in a bad course shows how one background condition can change the outcome before anyone calls it a big event. For costs and benefits, the overlooked force may be time, stress, uncertainty, trust, or money paid later. Once those costs are counted, the attractive option can look very different from the first impression. A cost-benefit decision works best when the visible price, hidden effort, future risk, and real payoff are all put on the table. A shallow reading counts only the obvious price and ignores what the choice consumes afterward. In the case of family comparing commute and rent, the final result may look simple from the outside, but the pressure was already building before anyone noticed it. Better judgment starts by listing the future consequences alongside the immediate gain. A practical example is business weighing overtime costs. The practical point is not to memorize a slogan about costs and benefits. The practical point is to compare the full trade, not just the part that appears on the receipt. That contrast explains why two people can value the same option differently. Most confusion around costs and benefits comes from missing that hidden exchange and focusing only on the surface event. Cost-benefit thinking is useful only when hidden costs are counted too. Time, stress, risk, trust, and future flexibility. A final example, person paying for convenience, shows why this matters before the outcome becomes expensive, stressful, or emotionally charged. The strongest takeaway is to count the hidden costs before trusting the obvious benefit. The practical point is to compare the full trade, not just the part that appears on the receipt. Once those parts are visible, costs and benefits becomes less mysterious and much easier to handle in daily life.